C'est EIR World Service 2, le service mondial de All India Radio, sur l'application News on Air et Didi Free Dish. Restez à notre écoute, c'est All India Radio Delhi.
Chers amis, maintenant nous allons jouer pour vous une belle chanson indienne. Vous écoutez l'émission d'Outre-mer de All India Radio avec Manazir Abbas. Chers auditeurs, tout de suite, c'est le programme dans les Spotlight. Restez à l'écoute de l'émission d'Outre-mer de All India Radio avec Manazir Abbas.
This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on India's rising defense capabilities. The participants are Major General Ashok Kumar, defense analyst, and Ryan Singh, journalist.
Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji was celebrating Diwali along with soldiers in Lekcha, Himachal Pradesh. And our Prime Minister said that India is fast emerging as a big global player in the defense sector. And the capabilities of its security forces are constantly rising. General Ashok Kumar, can you give us a sense and to our listeners that what does this statement mean when it comes to defense forces, defense production and hard power?
Thank you, ma'am. I think this is a very, very pertinent question, especially in today's emerging geopolitical situation, when on one hand we have more than a year-long war between Russia and Ukraine, when we have more than 3 years transgression on the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh, and more than a month currently ongoing war between Israel and Hamas. It is in this context that a statement of Prime Minister means a lot, and we have to look at that seriously, because it is finally the defense capability of a country which not only shapes its impact on the nation for its domestic needs, but it is the same power which assists it to project at the global stage as well. The country's defense capability can be looked at two frames. One is how it has emerged on the global stage and how it has emerged on the national stage to meet its own national challenges. I shall briefly just cover as to how well it is doing on the global stage. India was third largest defense importer of the defense equipment in the world. However, it has now reoriented its policy towards defense exports the last 3 years, and it is putting around 35,000 crore target by year 2025. This year, even before the financial year getting over, it has already reached an export of 20,000 crores this year, and it is also exporting to multiple countries. Even it is exporting to countries which are at war, a thing which was never seen in earlier. And when you are exporting a weapon to a country which is at war, it means that you have shown the courage, guts, and determination to take sides. And that is possible only if you have a potent defense force which can address your national interests and challenges. In addition to this, because of the Russia-Ukraine war, more than 70 countries of the world are affected from the Russian supplies because Russia is unable to meet its own requirement and therefore it is not able to assist them in their maintenance and further equipment supply. They are looking up at India with a big hope because India has, over a period of time, developed reasonable quantum of expertise for maintenance of the Russian equipment and its upgrade in the requisite direction. So that is going to be a good opportunity. Of course, with this, India has assisted multiple countries in the disaster management. In fact, in certain countries like Nepal, it has responded faster than the domestic government itself. And it has not only helped the friendly and neighboring countries, it has helped anybody who has been in need of such a support, like case of Turkey, where it is not very friendly with India. But India believes in the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and India therefore has gone there to assist them when they were hit by the earthquake. And of course, since the local wars are affecting number of countries, and Indian diaspora and students are spread in most of the countries in the world, so therefore their evacuation has also come as a challenge for country which they have done beautifully. Even the larger countries which have not been able to do that way. So this is how it is emerging on the world stage. More as we talk ahead based on your questions.
The important point here, which has to be understood in the light of our Prime Minister's statement, which has to be understood by our listeners, is that when it comes to defense production, and niche technology has been something in which we may understand that the countries might not share with us, but in this regard, India has been doing quite well. And indigenous production, defense production, which comes to as important equipments like aircraft carrier, fighter jets, which is offensive weapons like Pinaka, artillery weapons and all. Can you throw light on that aspect also? Because when it comes to strategic independence and India's rising profile in that, it also makes huge contribution in a sense also.
Absolutely. Actually, even any country which takes care of its defense needs, whether to fight the adversary or to go in for conflict to preserve its national interest, finally requires the defense equipment for its forces, be it Army, Navy or Air Force. Since we were largely import-dependent nation for quite some time, even technological advancements in terms of research and development had taken a back seat. And those countries which were exporting, they were more on the interest of money making and they had no interest in the technology transfer, so to say, in the real sense. Except that they gave at times the permission for the license production, which also didn't materialize the way it was conceived. But now government has focused over these 3-4 years. The more funds are being allocated to the research and development. The budgetary support is being allocated to the R&D setups. The private startups are being given a lot of support, and the IDEX challenges, Defense Innovation Organization has been created, the Ministry of Defense, and multiple other actions have been taken. But despite all these things, there is one reality which we must remember, that R&D takes time. And especially when the technological refresh rate is very fast. By the time you catch up with one technology, you find that the new technologies and new disruptive technologies have come into the market which are reshaping the battlefield. Like recently, there was a buzz that Air Force requires a lot of aircraft, but then the way the drones have emerged, the swarm drones have emerged, the entire dynamics have undergone a change. So R&D remains a huge challenge, and for us it has got a different connotation altogether. Because to get all equipment in our own country, that is the best model for strategic autonomy. But that will take not less than 2 decades plus, if one is very, very optimistic. But We have neighbors like Pakistan and China who are adversarial and who have collusive relationship with each other. We can not afford to keep our guard down. So during this time, we have to have some equipment of import origin and which can assist our operational requirements. At the same time, India is working in a big way with USA, France, Israel to get the technology which it needs for its future. Of course, with the private participation and technology transfer, there have been a lot of changes in this field. Whereas, own aircraft carrier Vikrant has been manufactured, number of shipbuilding activities are taking in place. The light combat aircraft LCA Tejas has been flying in the country, and there have been interest from multiple other countries. BrahMos is given thing. So it is a combination of the indigenous production, import, and focused R&D, which is shifting India away from the Russian import dependence and making its equipment more aligned to our national and strategic need. Of course, there is a time which is required, but I think given the momentum, if it is continued with some out-of-box approaches, I think it will be time when we will be able to fight our battles in the country with our own weapons, whether it is be on land, air, or sea.
It's a good point, sir. Coming to ecosystem of defense production. In fact, lots of policy decisions have been taken. Innovation is being supported and is being promoted by the own government. But let's come to a very important point if we have to understand this global player comment, sir. Unless we have a structure of armed forces which uses the equipment, arms and equipment optimally, it won't help. And in this regard also, India and its armed forces and its policymakers are doing a lot, sir, which may be said to have begun with CDS. Share your comments, sir.
Absolutely, Mayank. In fact, your question itself has a lot of value points. So far, all the three services were fighting their wars, in so-called integrated manner, but then there were issues. One has to admit that. We had 1947-48 with Pakistan, except army, no other service was used. In 1962, when we had such a bad beating from China, even that time, some air force was used only for the transport requirement, but no offensive use of air force was done. No navy was used, whereas we were the first navy in Asia to get the blue water status first. And China had only the riverine navy, but now the equation has changed. So all these things happen because each service has its own priorities, and therefore it was very, very important that to optimize the national effort, the concept of CDS is adopted, which was recommended multiple times, and finally it came into being. And now the second CDS is in charge. Department of Military Affairs, has been established. It is also doing a good job. And the primary task which it has its hand is a theaterization, wherein the theaters are going to be conceived with a distinct responsibility to look after a particular area or a particular country based on the threat perception. They could be headed by Army, Navy, or Air Force people based on the requirement, but it will be having all the air, army and naval resources at its disposal for prosecuting the war for which it has been tasked. So that would be good change, though there has been some delay. But I think getting theatrization early is not that important as compared to getting it right. So I'm sure in days to come the theatrization will happen. Similarly, the integrated battle groups coming up within the Indian Army, because currently we have multiple tiers of hierarchical organization structures. And today we require a flat structure. So once the integrated battle groups come, then the requirement of divisional headquarters will go away and we will have more linear command and control organizations. I have already spoken about Project Udbhav, wherein we will be using our own doctrinal thoughts for furthering our national interest. If you see Sun Tzu's writing in Art of War, China has imbibed it fully. And Chanakya, in fact, he lived even before Sun Tzu, almost 200 years or so. And the Mauryan Empire was the largest empire India could ever reach. And so there are a lot of doctrinal thoughts and the available there in the Kautilya Arthashastra, and there are a number of other thinkers also which can be imbibed by India, and India can fight its battles with its own thoughts. But it does not mean that it has to be just do the blind following. It has to take those thoughts which are relevant in the 21st century war or in times to come. It has to shift the material accordingly.
And that's why we are making structural changes when it comes to organization. That's why we are promoting the ecosystem to produce our own weaponry, equipment and systems. Can you speak few words, sir, at least about the way the promotion of indigenous sector as far as defense production is concerned? Because if we have reached to a export of